What's up, guys? My name is Chris. Welcome to A Reseller's Life. In today's episode, I'm going to go over 12 things I sold for $3,600 recently. This is in my public store, Daily Refinement. I affectionately call these kinds of stores garage sale stores, but you can still make money with a garage sale store. This one has just around 4,600 items in it. It's essentially a hobby for me. The money that comes in, I just reinvest into buying more interesting stuff, which I'm going to go over today. Sales have recovered a little bit in the store. I'm at 20,000 right now and 55,000 over the last 3 months. Had a bad month last month, but I think that was the case for most people, but it's starting to pick up a little bit. And so let's get into the items that sold. So the first thing that sold for an unusual amount of money, in my opinion, is a vise. So I think many people do know that these sell for a lot of money. This one, I believe, is USA made in South Bend. I think South Bend is in Indiana. Correct me if I'm wrong. But just took some natural photos of the item, and it was in good condition. And I just measured the opening. It's only 4 inches, but sold for $197, which is surprising to me because a brand new one is only $250. So it's not like it's that. It's in excellent condition, but still, I'm surprised that they sell for this much money. And believe it or not, this fit in a padded flat rate and was 16 pounds. So really, really, really heavy. What I did was I built a small box. I put this in the box. Inside the box, I filled it in with bubble wrap, one more piece of bubble wrap around it, and then stuffed it into a padded flat rate envelope under the 20-pound, or I think it's 70-pound limit. So this was ridiculously heavy, but still fit in a padded flat rate. And I got 2 of them at the estate sale I was in. The other one isn't USA made though, so I'm going to ask for a little bit less. Next is a pair of Rick Owens booties I found at the Goodwill bins. So we paid $1 for these. These photos, I was experimenting with the background remover, and I think it makes the shoes look fake. So maybe I won't do that in the future. I didn't do a good job of editing, but the photos, I tried to show some close-ups of the signature. But these were definitely, as they say, pre-loved. Somebody wore these a ton, but they still sold for a decent amount of money. So maybe you guys who haven't heard of Rick Owens, it's a bolo, so to say. Here's the exercise bike that I sold. Truly a beautiful piece of machinery. I was going to keep it, but especially since now all gyms are closed, the only reason I didn't keep it is because the tachometer wasn't working super well. The bike works great, but I like to track how far I ride, etc. So I sold this to a gentleman, local pickup. He loved it. I think people underestimate the ability to sell stuff locally. So this was a local pickup, but I was going to charge $175 for shipping. That's what my UPS store quoted me to ship this ground somewhere. So and that's kind of high. I think it would be a little bit less than that, but this is a situation where I wouldn't want to ship it myself. And plus, if a UPS store packs it for you, they absorb the insurance cost, depending on who you work with. But I loved this bike, super beautiful. I also sold a stair stepper on Craigslist of the same brand from the same sale. But yeah, I sold it on Craigslist because I didn't want to pay the eBay fee. Here's a mid-century modern surfboard coffee table. I love furniture. It's not really scalable because it takes up so much space and time, but it's fun. So mid-century stuff sells well. I also thought it was cool that the legs screw off. So very, very cool piece. It didn't have a signature on it. So you can sell stuff that doesn't have a brand on it. I looked everywhere. So I just did the best I could with keywords, MCM for mid-century modern, Danish. I don't know if it's actually Danish. I probably shouldn't have used that word. But mid-century modern surfboard is the shape of the top. And just put the measurements in there. And I love outside lighting. So again, I'm going to start adding in some furniture to my hobby store because it's fun. Okay, next is these track balls. So I found 6 of these actually, but 2 of them were new. I kind of cheap sold them for $90 each. You could probably sell them for more since they're new. I think it's funny that the original sticker was on it for $99 back in the day. I think this is a Circuit City label. I'm not sure though. Let me know if you guys know in the chat what company tag this is, but it sold essentially close to retail many years after this was released. So The other ones that were used sold for almost the same price. And again, I got 6 of these at that estate sale, and I will be doing more of it, more of those sales in the future, just for fun. But again, I don't necessarily recommend it for people if you're trying to do it full time and make a full time living, because garage sales and estate sales are random. But it is very fun. So if you can build up a significant inventory, like a few thousand items, then a low sell-through rate won't hurt you too much. Okay, next is a bike rack. There are 2 of these at the sale I went to. And, you know, these sell really quickly, so I'm definitely a fan. Make sure you understand your shipping before you go. Again, I always measure the box. This actually only cost $20 to ship, FedEx home delivery. So I made some money on the shipping part. And on stuff like this that's more durable, I literally just taped it up and put a label on the box. Didn't find an additional box for this because it's not really a fragile item. So I just made sure to stuff it with bubble wrap so it's not moving inside, and sent that off FedEx home. So very cool. Here is a Polo Ralph Lauren dry goods hat. Probably could have sold this for $125. Maybe some people know better. I'm not like a huge Polo head. I don't know that much about it, except for I know dry goods stuff is very desirable. Very cool hat, great condition. So ended up selling this for about $100. So again, don't sleep on accessories, on stuff like this, because it can be worth a lot. Just take your time when you're in the thrift store and look for items that are great. I sold probably 10 plus of these phones, all different kinds, all different sizes. The person that was at this estate sale, you can see that's probably their original carpet too. When I was first doing an inventory for the realtor, I was taking pictures on the floor of items to let him know what I was finding. We're in a shelter-in-place situation, so you can't really meet up, no social gatherings. So I had to do this by myself. So I was documenting stuff right on the carpet. You don't need perfect photos to list on eBay. You just need bright photos. None of my pictures are dim. You can see exactly what it is that you're buying. And these old phones, all of them sold, except for I think I have 1 left. So a bunch of these sold. And I also sold the touch-tone phones. I'm sorry, not the touch-tone, the old receiver phones. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, I think I sold 6 or 7 of these. So I have 1 that's brand new in box, which is insane. So, but usually the rotary ones are the ones that are more valuable, but these sell really well. They do fit into a 0.2 cubic feet. So I do use cubic shipping for these because they're not very big. It can almost fit in a padded, but again, if you're not taking advantage of cubic shipping, this would cost you a lot more to ship. And again, I'm not trying to sit on these because they take up a lot of space. So price to sell. Next is, the sneaker game. I like shoes. I don't do a lot of hype beast stuff because I think it's a waste of time in my life to wait in line, but it's worth it to check in and try to get sneakers. I sold 2 of these. I got 1 and my wife got 1, super lucky in the raffle. They were selling for more money. So they were selling for around $600. And the reason why I sold these on eBay is because I contacted the seller on Instagram first. I'm sorry, the buyer, because there's a lot of fraud when you're selling expensive items. This is why I like to take real photos. This is just literally on my desk. So I didn't put it in the photo box because people want to know you actually have the item. You want to take close-ups to try to let people verify if they're authentic or not. So take the best pictures you can. Take as many pictures as you can to let people know. Take a picture of the tag. That way you can give people the opportunity to research it and make sure that you are legit. Take a picture of the box because this is the most commonly faked part of it. So again, take your time, go through each individual item and make sure that they're legit for your customers. And also, let me see, I didn't put in here, but I usually put in here the original receipt included. So this one, I contacted the person on Instagram. So again, 0 feedback buyer, not a scam. Okay, and you can look at the page views, 2,293, ton of views for high-end stuff like this. But again, be careful because you can get scammed. It's what people are looking to do. When they're scamming people, you want to scam high-dollar items. Next is a Sony Walkman. I also sold 2 Discmans. as well from this lot, not included in this section, but I think that's a decent amount. It could have maybe sold for more, but again, you guys want to make sure you look at that specific model when you're reselling it. So let's just take a look really quick. I'm curious if anybody else has these for sale. I sold mine for 70 shipped. So you can see I like to price my items a little higher. So mine sold for more money than this. So I think it's important to realize you don't have to just list it. And then I use a tool called Snap Seller Tool to kind of give me an idea of how many sold. And again, I'm not pricing stuff to sit on it. I do want to move it, especially in this store, since I have limited space and I'm paying $2 a square foot to store my stuff. So I'm really jealous of people who have large spaces for really cheap, but I'm paying $1,500 for rent. But again, to each their own. I also have cool stuff living in California. Take pictures. They don't need to be perfect. So you can see here, these aren't even square photos because I just took them directly in the app. So do whatever you can to get the items listed. Here is something I think is pretty cool. I have a lot of women's clothing in my store. I don't list it myself, and it's not something I'm passionate about, but it's something you can build a solid business on because there's just so much of it. If you are a good picker, you could go find stuff like this sweater that I would have literally thrown this away if it was in my, if I had seen this, I would have thought it was worth nothing. But I have a picker helping me. She's very good at brands, and she goes with a friend. They look over items, and it's helping me out because I have a relationship with her, and she's pumping in used women's clothing into my store. I do think you need to be as professional as you can when you're taking clothing pictures. So we're taking a lot of detailed shots. The tag is straight, which I I feel like this is a more premium experience because we're taking up close photos, front photos. Clothing is a lot of work. We do measurements of the bust and the length from shoulder. We probably should explain from shoulder down to the hem, bottom hem. But again, clothing, you can make a great living on clothing. I just think that you need a larger store. So I know some people will disagree with me and say the size of your store doesn't matter. You can believe whatever you want. I feel like if you have a larger store, especially on eBay, you're going to get that traffic to come in. I also sell a lot of multiple items. So these aren't true replenishables, but let's just say as an example, I've sold 9 of these Chacos. I did have to buy 2,100 pairs to get a deal. Again, so it's not necessarily super easy to get multiples. When you're buying a closeout from somebody, they sometimes want you to buy all of it. So I didn't really have an option. I had to buy 2,100 pairs of shoes to get this deal. But that's okay because, one listing, you're going to get a bunch of items at the same time. This is one listing that is going to sell 14 times. I don't have best offer on items that I understand the market. If you don't understand the market, you might want to price it high and accept something new. This is my favorite photo for shoes because you can see the side profile and the top profile at the same time. So somebody could make this purchase without even scrolling through. Also, depending on what it is, I might ship it without the original box to save money on shipping. So it depends. You got to understand your market. Everything is different. Margins do shrink when you buy multiples like this, but even if I made $1 on per pair, which is higher than $1, but let's just say it's $1, 14 pairs is $14, and if you're only making $1 profit, you're probably undercutting your competition, which means you could sell stuff quickly. I bulked up on these items a long time ago because I knew they're going to be, I could probably raise the price $5 because summer is coming. But again, got to understand your market and the specific items that you're selling. I like to sell true replenishable items as well that you get from the manufacturer that you can reorder when they sell out. None of those are in this store because I don't want people to copy them. So this is where you can balance your social media influencing, where you guys, let me show you my traffic. It's kind of insane how much traffic comes from YouTube and how little of it converts. So let's look here. It'll show you how much of it is organic. So right here we have 225 people off my YouTube channel came to look at my store. And I don't think any of them bought anything because normally people would say, hey, I looked at this and bought it. So you can see how low my conversion and click-through rate is. I think it's because there's a lot of looky-loos on my channel looking at stuff but not buying anything. So let me look at the last 90 days actually to get an idea of what this looks like. You can probably see the dip. Yeah, right here. So actually not right here. It's more like here. This section right here was when the lockdown happened. So you can see people were kind of scared. I had like basically a whole month of bad sales. Essentially it's because I'm still listing 60 plus items a day. So the sales should be way higher, but I think people right now are scared. But for me, my bills don't take a break. So I still have to make money during the time when it's slow. So this is the last 90 days, 1,400 sold. To give you guys an idea, in a hobby store, once you start having about 15 sales a day, then you basically pay your bills while you work on replenishables, while you work on different projects. And I think, guys, this should be a really useful video for you guys. So I would appreciate it if you smash the like button and subscribe, hit that notification bell for new interesting videos. And if you guys are listening to this on iTunes, please leave a review, and I am going to give away 10 more of my reseller field guide, which I normally charge $35 for. It really helps me build this channel if you guys do that. So you can pick up a copy of the field guide for $35 using code YouTube, or you can leave a review on iTunes. It doesn't even have to be a 5-star review. Just leave a review on iTunes of what you think of my podcast or this show, and then email me, and the first 10 people, I'll give you that course for free. Also, now I'm modifying my Patreon slightly. So if you want to join my group, it's $100 a year. So we do a call Sunday through Friday where we talk about what we want to get done for the week, for the day, best practices. If you can't find value in that, then you're really not listening, because I think that call, I learn more about that than any other thing that I do, because I'm listening to how people plan their day. That's really how reselling works. It's a marathon. You can't build a store of this size that quickly. It took me 6 months to list let me look at this again. I sold 1,973 items in this store, and I have 4,600. So I listed 6,600 items in this store. It took me 6 months to list 6,000 items. So that's only 1,000 items a month. That's 33 on average a day. It took some time to get it to where it is right now, which is roughly 17 sales a day. To give you guys an idea of this volume. And that's slow, because right now with this store, I'm actually expecting 22 sales a day. So it depends on what you sell. I know that because I know my categories. I should be selling 22 a day, and I'm at about 17, which means I'm not optimizing my store, and it might be a slow time. So when you listen to people talk about their stores on YouTube, you often see like some dramatic title like sales are dead. Not really. They're not dead. They're just slower. So you need to understand your specific market. If you look at my last 30 days, every day is different. So I don't judge my day based on what my sales are for the day. I would be very unhappy, or I would be bipolar if I actually looked at my sales. They're very, very random. So what I like to do is just figure out how many items you can list per day. Right now we're listing 60 a day, but we were at 30 a day when we first started. And as I continue and grow, I would like to be at 65 a day-ish is where I want to be with my hobby store. I would like 100 items to go into my store Monday through Friday. And that ends up being about 60 something a day. And I want those items coming to me. So that's me manifesting my future. I don't know how that's going to happen because I don't have that many items coming inbound to me. I have a few, but I want all of the items coming to me so that I can sell cool stuff like this Vice or Rick Owens shoes or coffee tables. And I like it. It's very time consuming to go find it. So what I would like is a system where this cool stuff comes to me. Again, I don't know exactly how to do that, but that's okay. I think people are afraid to make goals that they don't know how to do it. But that to me is like the structure of building a beautiful life is kind of not knowing how you're going to do it. If you already knew how it was done, it would be kind of boring. And I do talk about, retail is guaranteed to produce a certain kind of result. And what that looks like is getting a proper resale license, getting a niche that you're really good in, opening up a brick and mortar, contacting suppliers in that specific niche. And it's like a math problem. Now, people that say brick and mortars are more difficult, don't do it that way. They pick random stuff to sell in their brick and mortar, and then it's more risky. It's not risky if you've been doing a niche for a really long time. If you worked at In-N-Out as a manager for 10 years and you consulted with a bunch of people on how to run a burger shop, and then you opened a burger shop yourself, you have a pretty decent chance that you can actually do it because the market is there. People love hamburgers and fries, and you already know how to run one. Those kinds of brick and mortars usually don't fail. I'm not saying that they're easy. They're not easy. Nothing is easy. But it is simple because you already know how to do it. So again, the guaranteed way to make money in this industry is retail. Open up a brick and mortar in a niche that you understand. Get those wholesalers because they want to deal with true brick and mortar. The guaranteed way to make money as a reseller, selling items that have already been sold, is just a listing habit and a quality sourcing habit. Good stuff coming in, good stuff being listed. And I think people are too obsessed with making the listing perfect. This is taken outside. This is not a fancy photograph. This is taken with my cell phone. I made this listing on my phone. Look at the description. It's just like 2 sentences. And you can use your sense of humor. I put way better than the Peloton because it's not as pretentious. Right? It's a lot cheaper than a Peloton. I looked up the comparable models to get an idea of what these things sell for. So I recommend you guys do the same. Hopefully you guys are having as much fun as I am reselling, and I'll see you guys on the next show. Take care.